Have you ever wondered how the British Empire, once a small island nation, became the largest empire in history? Picture, if you will, a time in the late 15th century. England had just emerged from the tumultuous War of the Roses. This bloody civil war saw the Lancaster and York families vying for the English throne, tearing the country apart in the process. As the dust settled, a new dynasty took the reins, the Tudors, with Henry VII at the helm. England, in the wake of this conflict, was relatively isolated in Europe, but, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the nation was ready to embark on a new era. Under the Tudors, England began to look beyond its borders and its European neighbors. It started to set its sights on the vast, uncharted expanses of the world. The thirst for exploration was ignited, fueled by the promise of wealth, power, and the unknown. Enter John Cabot, an Italian explorer under the patronage of King Henry VII. In 1497, Cabot set sail from Bristol, his eyes set on Asia. However, fate had other plans and he ended up in North America, making him one of the first Europeans to set foot there since the Vikings. This was the beginning of English colonialism. Although these initial voyages didn't lead to immediate settlement, they paved the way for future explorers and colonists. They stirred up a sense of curiosity, a desire to venture into the unknown, to claim new lands, and to expand English influence across the globe. The seed of empire had been planted. These were the humble beginnings of what would become the largest empire in history. A small island nation, recovering from war and isolation, dared to dream big. It dared to venture into the unknown, to sail uncharted seas, and to plant its flag on foreign soils. From these small beginnings, a global empire was born. As the 16th century dawned, England began to look outward, setting the stage for an era of exploration and colonization. A small island nation, England sought to extend its reach beyond the confines of Europe, driven by a hunger for wealth, knowledge, and power. The reign of Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, was instrumental in this outward expansion. Under her rule, England began to establish its first colonies in the Americas, a bold move that would forever alter the course of world history. The Roanoke colony, established in 1585, was England's first attempt at creating a permanent settlement in the New World. Though it ultimately failed, it paved the way for future endeavors. The defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588 marked England's emergence as a global naval power. This victory was not just a military triumph, but a psychological one. It shattered Spain's image of invincibility and signaled to the world that England was a force to be reckoned with. This event, perhaps more than any other, set the stage for England's rise to global dominance. Elizabeth's reign was characterized by a spirit of exploration and discovery, embodied by figures such as Sir Walter Raleigh and Sir Francis Drake. These intrepid explorers braved treacherous seas, hostile natives, and the unknown wilderness in the name of Queen and country. Their voyages paved the way for the establishment of colonies in Virginia, Bermuda, and Newfoundland. Their adventures were not just about staking a claim to new lands, but also about establishing trade routes, gaining access to valuable resources, and spreading Christianity. These were the early days of globalization, and England was at the forefront. As Elizabeth's reign came to an end, the foundation for England's future as a global power had been laid. Expanding England's colonies, strengthening its navy, and solidifying its place in the world. The seeds of empire had been sown, and England was poised to reap the harvest. The 17th and 18th centuries brought significant expansion to the British Empire. During this period, Britain's reach extended across the globe, establishing new colonies in North America and the Caribbean. These colonies were not just settlements, they were strategic outposts for trade, military advantage, and the spread of British influence. In North America, the British set up 13 colonies along the eastern seaboard. These colonies, from New Hampshire to Georgia, were the precursors to what would become the United States of America. The Caribbean, with its sugar-rich islands like Jamaica and Barbados, became valuable assets in the lucrative sugar trade. But these colonies were not built by Britons alone. In fact, the British Empire was heavily involved in the slave trade, forcibly transporting Africans to work in these colonies. The British Empire's influence stretched even further to the east, where it began to establish a foothold in India. Initially through trade and diplomacy, and later through military might, Britain maneuvered itself into a position of power in India. The British East India Company, a private company granted a royal charter by Queen Elizabeth I, played a pivotal role in this process. During the same period, the 7 Years' War took place, a global conflict involving every European great power of the time. The war ended in 1763 with the Treaty of Paris, which had significant implications for the British Empire. The treaty handed Britain vast territories in North America, including Canada, and marked the end of French colonial ambitions on the continent. The growth of the British Empire during the 17th and 18th centuries was not just about acquiring land, it was about establishing control and influence, about shaping the world in Britain's image. As the sun set on the 18th century, the British Empire had grown substantially, becoming a global powerhouse with a reach that extended from the Americas to Asia. And yet, by the end of the 18th century, the British Empire had grown substantially, but its greatest expansion was yet to come. The 19th century marked the height of the British Empire's power and influence. At this zenith, the empire was a beacon of industrial, economic, and military might, setting the pace for the rest of the world. Britain's Industrial Revolution was a key player in this grand scheme. The rapid advancement in technology and infrastructure catapulted the nation to the forefront of global commerce and industry. Steam power, railroads, and mechanized factories transformed not only Britain but also its colonies, facilitating the transport of goods, people, and ideas like never before. This revolution wasn't only about machines and smokestacks, it was about the power to change the world, to shape it in Britain's image. Simultaneously, the British grip on India tightened. Already a jewel in the empire's crown, the 19th century saw the British government take direct control, following the Sepoy Rebellion of the mid-century. India, rich in resources and strategically placed, became even more integral to the empire. The British influence seeped into every facet of Indian life, leaving a lasting imprint on its culture, governance, and social structure. The empire's reach was not limited to Asia. Africa and Australia too fell under the British dominion. Africa, with its vast resources, became a playground for European powers, with Britain leading the scramble. Australia, initially a penal colony, transformed into a valuable asset for the empire, thanks to its abundant natural resources and strategic location. The phrase, "the sun never sets on the British Empire," was not an overstatement. It was a testament to Britain's vast territorial reach, spanning continents and time zones. From the Americas in the west, across Europe and Africa, to the farthest corners of Asia and Oceania in the east, the British flag fluttered proudly. The 19th century was a time of unprecedented growth and dominance for Britain. The empire's reach was vast, its influence pervasive. The British Empire stood at the pinnacle of its power, dominating much of the world. However, as the saying goes, what goes up must come down. The 20th century marked the beginning of the end for the British Empire. This was an era that saw the globe ravaged by 2 world wars, and the British Empire was not exempt from these cataclysms. The First World War strained the empire's resources as men, materials, and money were poured into the European theater. Lives were lost, lands were devastated, and the empire was left weakened. Then came the Second World War, a conflict of unprecedented scale and devastation. Though the empire emerged victorious, it was a Pyrrhic victory. The cost of maintaining and defending the empire had become too great. The empire was stretched thin, its resources depleted, its shine dimmed. But the challenges didn't end there. In the aftermath of the wars, a wave of nationalism swept across the colonies. From India to Africa, voices clamored for independence. These were not mere whispers of discontent, but loud, resounding calls for freedom. The empire, weakened and war-torn, could no longer quell these voices. In India, the jewel in the empire's crown, the struggle for independence was led by figures like Mahatma Gandhi, who championed civil disobedience and non-violent resistance. The British, unable to hold on to the reins of power, were forced to concede. In 1947, India gained its independence, setting a precedent for other colonies. This began the process of decolonization, a gradual unraveling of the empire. One by one, colonies broke away, reclaiming their sovereignty. The empire, once a globe-spanning behemoth, was reduced to a handful of territories. The sun finally set on the British Empire, but its legacy continues to shape our world today. The empire may have crumbled, but its influence is indelible. From language to laws, from culture to conflicts, the echoes of the empire can still be heard. The empire is gone, but it is far from forgotten. So, what remains of the British Empire in the 21st century? As the sun finally set on the British Empire, a new dawn arose with the formation of the Commonwealth of Nations. This political association, Comprising 54 member states, the majority of which were territories of the former empire, continues to foster international cooperation, promoting democracy, human rights, and economic development. It's a testament to the enduring bonds formed during the era of British imperialism. The legacy of the British Empire is not confined to politics. It has left an indelible imprint on global culture and language. English, once the lingua franca of the empire, is now the world's second most spoken language, and the de facto language of international business, science, and aviation. British literature, music, and sport have permeated the globe, shaping the world's cultural landscape. Yet the legacy of the British Empire is not without controversy. It played a significant role in the transatlantic slave trade, an abhorrent chapter in human history that had profound and enduring consequences. The empire's policies of colonization and exploitation resulted in the displacement of indigenous peoples, the destruction of cultures, and the creation of economic disparities that persist to this day. Moreover, the political borders drawn by the empire often disregarded ethnic, religious, or linguistic realities, leading to conflicts that continue to plague some regions. From Africa to the Middle East, the echoes of imperial rule reverberate in ongoing struggles for self-determination and reconciliation. The British Empire, once the largest empire in the world, has left behind a complex and multifaceted legacy. This legacy is a mirror reflecting the best and worst of human endeavor: the pursuit of knowledge, the desire for power, the capacity for cruelty, and the potential for growth and redemption. The British Empire may be a thing of the past, but its impact can still be felt around the world. The rise and fall of the British Empire is a story of exploration, ambition, power, and decline. It's a tale that has been woven into the fabric of time, a narrative that has shaped our world in ways that are still evident today. Let's take a moment to reflect on the key points we've covered in this journey. We explored the empire's humble beginnings, born from a small island nation with a thirst for exploration and expansion. With the age of exploration and colonization, the British Empire spread its wings, reaching out to the far corners of the world, driven by the promise of new lands, wealth, and power. The empire continued to expand, fueled by ambition and a sense of destiny. At its zenith, the sun truly never set on the British Empire, with territories spanning across every continent. But even at the pinnacle of its power, the seeds of decline were already being sown. We delved into the empire's decline, a period marked by wars, revolutions, and the rising tide of nationalism. Despite the challenges, the empire left a legacy that continues to influence our world today. From language and legal systems to cultural and sporting traditions, the impact of the British Empire is inescapable. The story of the British Empire serves as a powerful reminder of the transient nature of power and influence. It demonstrates the complexity of human ambition, the potential of exploration, but also the perils of overreach. It underscores the importance of adaptability, resilience, and the inevitable march of progress. As we reflect on the history of the British Empire, we are reminded that history is not just a series of events, but a tapestry of human experiences, ambitions, triumphs, and failures. It's a complex narrative that continues to shape our present and will undoubtedly influence our future. From its humble beginnings to its ultimate decline, the British Empire remains one of the most fascinating and complex entities in human history.